So I am Korean. My family originally were both of my parents were born in South Korea, but my mom came to the U.S. Just straight directly, but my dad went to Canada first, and then he eventually came to the U.S. And then they met each other in Chicago through like family friends, I think. Um, and I was born in Chicago, but I lived in Korea for like roughly a year because my parents were working and they wanted someone to take care of me. So they were just like, yeah, you're going to go to Korea. So that's kind of how that like initial transition worked.
So my background, I would say that I am an Iraqi Iranian American. My mom immigrated from Iraq at 21. She got like a humanitarian visa from the Pope, whereas my dad immigrated from Iran. I think he was like almost 30 at that time. He was like in his mid to late 20s. No, he was in his mid 20s because then he lived in Germany for 7 years, and then from Germany he got his visa to the United States.
So my parents are, well, my mom's Ecuadorian and then my dad's Guatemalan, and they both came here, I think like a few years before they turned 20. So I was born here, but they immigrated here and then later became citizens.
Okay, so my background is I'm Mexican American, born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, and my parents came from Mexico. My dad from Guerrero, and my mom from Mexico City. And my dad came here when he was around like 15 to 16 years old, and then around when he was like 17 to 18, he went back for my aunts and my uncles and some of my cousins. And then my mom came around, like she was like 20, 21, I think, and then they met here in Chicago and had me and my brother.
So my parents both immigrated pretty young, and they were both sort of influenced by like another family member immigrating before them and then encouraging their mother. Throughout that process, I think my father came when he was 14, so he had to work throughout high school and he was able to go to college and complete his degree. My mother came when she was a bit older, and it took her a little bit longer to get her degree and become more established here. But they both like met each other pretty young.
My mom came here alone, like totally like just dropped in America with no concept of like what to do or where to start. She did have like a family friend here, so that was kind of like the foot in the door, but it was really rough for her initially just because she didn't know a lot of English. It was a lot of just like going to places that she thinks she could get help. I'm not really sure about my dad's end though, but he did have family like in Canada and then also in the US that he could kind of rely on. So that was kind of like his baseline. Um, so it was hard for both of them to adjust, but they like both adjusted really well and it's been like pretty good now. But growing up, I had a big issue because I grew up in Korea with my grandparents and I only knew Korean. And then I got back to the US right when I was about to start preschool. And then I lost all my Korean and only knew English. And I couldn't communicate to my parents or my grandparents. So I'm just stuck in this like weird like language middle ground where I'm just like, okay, well, I don't know if like I should only speak English or not. So my parents sent me to Korean school. So I learned both English and Korean simultaneously. And that helped bridge the gap between the two cultures. So I feel like that was like my easing into the both cultures at the same time. But I feel like that was like the biggest gap. The language barrier was probably my biggest gap that I've had with both cultures so far.
I feel like adapting to American life is the fact that my family kind of had to get used to that strangers weren't as nice here as they were back at home. Um, there's a bigger separation when it comes to your neighbors here versus in like most other places in the world. So I think something that they had to get used to was the fact that like not everyone is gonna be so like cheery and kind to you.
I think just like the common racism. I feel, especially because both my parents had to learn English. Obviously, they came here like pretty young, so like they kind of have an accent. It's not like very it's not a very thick accent, but they do have an accent, and I feel like people kind of like pick on you for that. So I've definitely noticed that. And then for me, it's just been like how I look different at school when I was younger. I don't really get any of it now, but when I was younger, I feel like I did get bullied sometimes for that.
Okay. I would say, I guess, like one of the first struggle stories is when I guess my parents crossed and one of them had issues with the papers and everything. So, with that, now they're not able to get their papers now and be in the process of getting their papers. They would have to go back to Mexico and basically stay there for a while and then come back and talk to lawyers to be able to become an American citizen. So I would say like that's one of the biggest struggles we've ran into. But also like most recently and then like a couple years ago when I think it was like when Obama was in when he was president, when he put out all of the ICE agents out there in Chicago and everything and all of the other states, we were fearing, and like I would be in class, like my teachers and like some of my parents and like some of my uncles and aunts, they would be telling me like, oh, like don't open the door, if you hear a knock, like be safe because we don't know who's gonna be knocking at the door, and like if they take away your parents, just call blah blah blah, blah like these people. And then till this day we still have that in the back of our mind because ever since then all the presidents have been putting out ICE out there and like have been targeting just innocent immigrant families. And we feel targeted because they've been targeting and racially profiling people. So it's always been in the back of our minds like we need to watch out and close our doors and make sure the person that's knocking at the door isn't an ICE agent. So yeah.
Thankfully, all of their immigration statuses and their citizenship were resolved before I was born. So honestly, in terms of my parents and my grandparents, there isn't really much immigration status conflicts to be heard of, or at least from like what I've experienced throughout the years. And I'm also very grateful that, we don't have any complications with that.
How do you feel about the current day situation regarding immigration?
I feel like it's very blown out of proportion. I feel like people are also, I think it's because of the fact that so many people are aggravated that they're looking at anybody they can to point fingers at. I think honestly that's kind of what the gist of it is.
It's honestly really frightening. Like my dad, he had two different like days where ICE came and got a worker like from his job, which is really like terrifying. Like I just saw the footage today. It was like they do. It was very like awful. It's just no like it's just straight violent, and I just think that no one should approach another person with violence as their first like cue. And it makes me really uncomfortable that people are just not like at least mindful of it occurring, or at least like trying to say like that's really not a humane thing to do. People are going to move, people have to move places. You have to know that there's certain situations where it's probably best to be here. And if you're going to be selfish and say that, America's only destined for a certain group of people, then that's not that's not good. That's not right. That's my take on it.
It's just very sad how they're very like aggressive, and you could tell that it's all just coming from like them being racist, and it's not actually like trying to like help the country. It's just like eat.
So I feel like the government and the president has really taken it too far and has gotten very much out of hand. They've, like some people be saying, they've lost the plot and aren't just focusing on criminals. They're like just racially profiling people and targeting innocent people, and it's become something that's very embarrassing for our country. And a lot of other countries have brought in their opinions and like said that it's very embarrassing, and they feel bad for the immigrants and for Mexican Americans and African Americans and Asian Americans and Middle Easterns and all of the different races are getting targeted, because it's not just Hispanics, it's like a whole variety of people and a whole variety of actual Americans that do have citizenship. And even if they don't, that shouldn't really matter. I feel like what America, like the whole ICE thing and like the whole immigration system has just completely gone downhill, and it's lost what it wants to be and what America wants to be, because people were coming here for the American dream, and there's no more American dream.
I definitely feel like it's very upsetting, especially since America was, built up by immigrants. And I definitely don't think this speaks on the American dream and freedom. And it's kind of unfortunate that people who came here to give their families a better life, like exactly like how my family wanted to do, what my family wanted to do, they are getting scrutinized and, deported.
How has your immigration story or your family shaped who you are today?
I feel like my Polish culture is all that I am. Like, I love it so much, and I appreciate it so much. Like, without it, I don't know who I would be. I don't really want to think about it. So that's why I really strive to keep it close and to keep in contact with my family and to attend all the holidays and just kind of appreciate the time that I have with my family. So definitely, I feel like it's shaped, my love for food, my love for community, who I am as a person, how I treat others, etiquette, and everything like that. It definitely, without it, I'm not really sure the person that I would be.
So my family's immigration story shaped who I am today by just showcasing that I am a strong individual and that I am able to do whatever I am I put my mind to, because I am capable of doing it. Because if my dad and my mom were capable of crossing the border, coming to America, making a life for themselves, and still doing that and still working hard to this day at their age, and now I'm at my own age, I can see that I'm able to do so much and I'm capable of so much.
I think just being very hardworking and appreciating everything that I have and like not taking anything for granted, and just like being able to go to school is very important to me.
I think I grew up very humble because of it. I don't think I ever grew up like I just always grew up humble just because my family didn't really come from a lot, especially like initially, just as like they were trying to like set a foundation. Um and that was honestly a good way for me to grow up, just because I feel like if I had everything splayed out to me, I don't think I would have been as appreciative of what my parents have done for me to have this opportunity. Um, and yeah, I just think that a lot of my experience has been like being mindful and observant and humble and being aware of all like a lot of various situations just so um, I don't miss anything that can be a potential issue. Especially, I don't know, if I came from nothing, I got to figure out what I could do for people that also feel the same way.
If I'm being honest, I I feel like it's helped me be a lot more considerate when coming to think about other people. I know that sounds basic, but I hope, I really hope that it looks like it has a lot more compassion. Um, I hope that people stop preaching hate because it's obviously gotten out of hand. Um, People need to embrace culture more. A lot of people fear it, but I really hope it looks a lot more open minded.
Well, I hope that Americans, at the end of the day, no matter like what ethnicity, what ethnic background, what skin color they are, they see that we are all human and that there are all beautiful cultures in the world, that we should come together in harmony. And as utopian as it sounds and everything, it can happen, and we can all appreciate each other's cultures and stories and everything like that. And I hope to see that America comes together with all the different cultures and all the different immigrants, that we build a better system when it comes to immigration and when it comes to like school systems and all of that, because that all withholds our culture and our humanity as a whole. And I hope that America is able to like just come together in harmony and be able to live with each other without hate, and just, yeah, live with each other with different cultures, because that's what America's built up of.